Hello and welcome back to Joe's Math Tools. In our session today, we're solving a rational equation when we have constants and expressions in the denominator. So if you want to see how to tackle this question, let's get started. When solving our rational equation, we're going to begin as we usually do by finding our LCD. Remember that in our denominators, for our LCD, it has to be made up of both our constants and the expression, since that's what we're working with in this question. So we have 2, 16, and the expression d minus 2. Now, with looking at our expression, since we know that we cannot separate the expression, this d minus 2 will automatically be a part of my LCD, since it's the only expression and that cannot be changed or removed. Now with my constants 2 and 16, I'm looking for the LCD of these two numbers. So we have 2 and 16. And we know that with our LCD, since 16 is also in the 2 time table, our LCD will be 16 for these two constants. So our LCD for our denominators will be 16, and in parentheses my expression d minus 2. So now that I have my LCD, I'm now going to begin changing these fractions into their equivalent form where we have this denominator of 16 and my expression in parentheses d minus 2. So let's begin with our first fraction. And in finding my LCD for this question, I'm going to be multiplying my fraction to the LCD to help with my canceling and simplifying this expression. So now what I'm going to be doing first is looking at my numbers. So I can divide 2 into 16, so 2 will divide into itself once, 2 will divide into 16 8 times. So I'm going to be multiplying my 1 times this 8 and d minus 2 in parentheses, which will equal to 8 minus and d minus 2. And now what I'm going to do is distribute these terms. So 8 minus d, 8 times d will equal to 8d, and 8 times negative 2 will equal to negative 16. And I'm going to plug this back into my equation. So we'll have 8d minus 16. So now that I have changed that fraction into its equivalent form, I will now be doing the same thing to my next fraction, which is d minus 2. I will multiply that again to my LCD. So we're going to keep repeating this pattern until we have finished converting all of our fractions. So now I'm going to cancel my expressions for this question, since d minus 2 can cancel d minus 2, which will leave me with 16 times 1, which will equal to 16. And we will plug that 16 into our equation. And now that we have changed 2 of our fractions, let's begin with the last fraction, which is my d and 16. And once again, this will be multiplied to our LCD, canceling off what is in common, which is my 16s. So d will be multiplied to our parentheses. So we'll have d being multiplied to d minus 2, which was left over. So my d times d will equal to d squared. And my d times negative 2 will equal to negative 2d. And we'll plug that back into our equation as well. So d squared minus 2d. So now that our fractions are in their equivalent form, I'm going to now collect my like terms and begin simplifying this equation as much as possible. Now remember that for my quadratic equations, the ones that do go to quadratic equation, I will also load a video for you on how you can solve those equations using the quadratic formula. Remember, this isn't the only method, but this is one method that you can use. And in the rational equation series, I'm looking to work mostly with just factorizing and the LCD. And then with the quadratic, I will do the cross multiplication where possible and use the quadratic formula. So now let's collect our like terms. So what I'm going to do first is cancel out this 16 plus 16 because this will equal to 0, leaving me with just 8d equal to d squared minus 2d. And now I'm going to put my quadratic equation in its standard form. And since the d is positive on this side, what I'm actually going to do is I'm still going to move it to the other side because I think for most of the equations that I worked out, I haven't worked out anywhere the a coefficient was actually a negative number. So I'm going to move that over and work with that as a negative number. And I'm just going to take my plus 8d plus 2d and equal to 0. Okay, so we're going to have negative d squared. And we're going to have a plus 2 is 10 equal to 0. I put my constant of d back. So now I'm going to do a little factorizing. So I'm going to pull out a d. I'm going to pull out a negative d at that, which will leave me with just d because negative d times d will equal to negative d squared. And since I pulled out a negative, that means I have to also make this negative 10 so that the negative times the d will make it a positive 10d, and this is equal to 0. Okay, so now either r negative d will be equal to 0, where d will be equal to 0, or rd minus 10 will be equal to 0, and d is equal to 10. Okay, so the first answer we got was d is equal to 0. And we know that with 0 in the denominator, that can be a bit tricky. You do not never want to have a 0 in the denominator by itself. That is like a scary situation in math. So try to avoid that at all costs. So let's work out. So we have 1/2. And then we know that with 0 minus 2 is going to leave us with a negative 1/2 equal to 0, because naturally if 16 divides into nothing, it's going to be nothing. And with 1/2 minus 1/2, that will be equal to 0. So this one, for this case, it worked out, so that is a plus. But let's check the answer that I am more playing favoritism towards, which is my d is equal to 10. So let's perform our substitution. Remember that we're looking to have both sides of the equation equal to the same thing. So returning my 1/2, 10 minus 2 is 8, equal to 10, 16. And as you know, the LCD for these fractions will be 16, since 16 is in my 2, my 8, and of course my 16 timetable. So 2 times 8 is 16, and 1 times 8 is equal to 8. So for my next fraction, we're going to have 2 times 8, which is equal to 16, and 1 times 2 is equal to 2. And since my last fraction already has a denominator of 16, that means we do not have to do anything to this fraction. So 8 plus 2 is equal to 10, and we have 10 is equal to 10, so that means that this solution is correct, and my d is equal to 10. But these are the two answers that we got for this equation. I hope this was very helpful to you. I hope you were able to practice and follow along with the equation. Remember to get additional practice in on your own. Find those questions, practice them, get them right, get them wrong, but develop your skills and become better. And when you're ready to learn the next skill, make sure that you return to my tools where we make math easy.